A number of you have probably read in the newspaper about the grants that we've received. It is a really, of course, unusual time right now because of all of the Rescue Act dollars that are out in the community, in communities across the country. The CARES Act resources were deployed in the city by the Star City Strong Recovery Task Force. And we were able, through the CARES Act, and then now with the ARPA funding, put a whole lot of dollars into organizations, arts and cultural organizations doing good work in the community. And one thing that we really believe is that when we have resources like this, it's an opportunity, not just to get things back on track, but really it's an opportunity to think entirely differently. And that's what we're hoping to do, a little bit of experimentation and think a little bit differently. So we did, as the Arts Commission, applied for some resources from the National Endowment for the Arts. And we got a couple of grants, and we've worked with them in the past. They helped fund the project down under Memorial Bridge. I see Polly Branch is on. Polly was part of that project. The National Endowment for the Arts has given us some funding to do a similar project coming up soon. And we're going to talk about that one of these nights in Southeast Roanoke. We just put a call out for that. But you saw this, the Year of the Artist. We wanted to tie all the things that we were wanting to do together, really, and kind of think about the spirit of what it means to be an artist in the community, and how we can align creativity in making the community an even better place. So what are we going to do? We are going to, in the plan, and the plan is loose. We're building the plan. The idea is we're going to build the plan together, but we want to advance community goals, and we want to explore and experiment together. In order to do that, we really want to build a learning community. I don't know how this is going to work. I've never done this. I hope you're going to join me in figuring it out, and have and think through how we can integrate artists in civic problem solving. Every aspect of our community requires creativity and innovation. The world's changing rapidly, and we can change with it. We can make the most of the assets that we have at hand, and really create the place that works the best for all residents in Roanoke. And we want to pay artists as we do that. It's the thing that we really believe is that artists should be paid for their work. And we want to build this network. I said we want to co-create this. We've designed the grants in a way enough to get the funding, but we haven't fully designed them. So the idea is if we can bring everybody together, and we kind of talk about the goals and talk about our values and dig into it, we can create something that I might not have even already thought of. So the Year of the Artist, really, it's going to be more than a year, but the Year of the Artist is catchy. We're going to start it in July of 22, and that means we've got a few months to plan and to work together. We are going to, in the next few months, we're going to put out some calls for art, and the first call is going to happen tonight. We're going to put the first call out, and then we are going to share knowledge over the next 4 weeks. Tonight's kind of a kickoff. And then 4 weeks after that, we're going to dig in a little bit. We've got some resources that I'll share with you in a moment. But there are other places in the country doing this kind of work. We can learn from some examples. Of course, we're going to do it in our own way. And we've got artists in the group who have led projects, who have engaged the community in projects, who have organized their work to improve the community. So we're going to share knowledge, and we're going to develop these projects.
No idea where it is.
Let's see if I can.
How to turn the sound off. If I can just find it and turn the sound off.
Let's see. There, I think we got it. All right. And then from July 22 to June of 23, we're going to implement. And I'm imagining that very visibly all around the community, we're going to have artists busy at work, and people are going to see projects happening, and they might engage in a different way because of the work of artists. And let's see, I'm going to try and keep, okay, and yeah, please do keep muting your microphone. Sometimes it might fall off of mute, but if you can remember, mute, and then I also have the magic button here. I can mute you too, it looks like. So I'll keep trying to do that. And then after June of 2023, we're going to very intentionally reflect. But I hope that reflection is going to be part of this as we go, and that we're going to be kind of consciously focusing on how we're doing it, what we're doing it, why we're doing it, how we can do it better, and what the surprises are along the way. And we are going to focus on outcomes. Those are going to be community outcomes, but we also hope they're going to be individual outcomes. And as each of us embark in this, that we're thinking, well, how do I want to grow professionally as an artist? How do I want to grow individually? How do I want to grow in my role in the community? How can I use a project to build skills? What am I interested in? How can I align that and make it a fun way to go deeper, get better, have more fun, meet new neighbors? There's a lot we can do. So we want to focus both on the community and the individual. I really do believe you should be getting something out of this, and that something we hope is growth, and in addition to maybe some resources to do some work. Additionally, those outcomes are product-based. We're going to be calling for products, but that process is really, that's really where my heart is, I think. As we undertake projects, we're going to be kind of, hopefully we'll have some groups that are sharing information with each other about what they're learning. We'll do it as a large group, but we might have kind of affinity groups that are working. Like for instance, some folks might be interested in being a healthy community in kind of the wellness aspects of art. So maybe we'll have an affinity group that's meeting and discussing that and kind of learning together. But how we're doing it, it's going to be really important. And so we are going to dig into a little bit, how do you start a project with a sense of inquiry? What are some techniques for engaging the community members? If you're interested in a project, what's the starting point? What's the difference between an artist project done in a community and a community-driven project that's facilitated by an artist? So we have a lot where we can talk about, and a lot of knowledge in the group. And I hope a value that we bring to this is that we can mine the knowledge in the group. And then we'll, like I said, we've got the resources from these grants, but I hope that we are going to demonstrate in the community the power of the arts, that they are not just something extra and separate on the side, but that they are something that's integrated into everything we want to do as a community. And there's potential there. All right. Now let me check in and see if Bob Cal is on. I can't quite see everybody listed. I'm not sure, he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to be on tonight or not. But I do want to say that I was on a call today with the assistant city manager. Bob Cowell gave me a report, one of the reports that we've got listed on our resources guide. Bob's the city manager, but he said, hey, I think this is the work that you're trying to do, and gave me a report that the City Managers Association kind of internationally had put together on using the arts in creative problem solving. So Bob gets it. And I think he's really supportive. And he said, here's his quote. He said, we're inviting artists to explore with us, create with us, and help us affect change. I imagine Bob will stick his head in at some point through some of these, and certainly he'll be aware of the projects that we're building and creating. So how are we going to do it? I've already spilled the beans a lot on how. I can't say one thing at a time. I have to tell it to you all at once. But I would like you now. I've got this little video, or it's really audio, but you'll see the picture of Mary Catherine Bateson on, and this is from the radio show On Being. And I'd like you to listen to it. It's about 4 minutes long. I won't give much of an introduction, but I'll ask that you take some notes maybe on some things that you hear. If something resonates with you, kind of or jot it down. And then we're going to have a little bit of a kind of a chat-based conversation about it after.
One of the things that biologists have said about human beings is that we retain many of our infant characteristics throughout our lives. You've heard stories about, the people that wanted to raise a lion in their home, people that have wanted to raise a chimp in their home. Other stories of trying to tame a wild animal, and when it matures, it loses its flexibility and the relationship breaks down. And there are typical physical changes that go with maturity in many species that are more dramatic than in human beings. Get a lot more hair, for instance. And in a sense, human beings remain childlike. They're open to new learning and even very deep learning that changes your personality, really, right through the life cycle. Human beings remain playful.
Yeah.
And play is a very important part of learning. And experimental. Most other species, they figure out how to be a rabbit or a chicken or an owl or a fish. And that's what they do for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So learning is us.
Yeah. What was your mother's notion of evolutionary clusters? What was that about?
Well, you've probably seen the slogan that gets quoted all the time. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world.
That's a Margaret Mead quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we've never been able to find it in its first iteration in print.
But that's a definition of evolutionary clusters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that very often major accelerations of change came out when a group of people got together and learned together and dared to think new thoughts and then pass them on. And that's true of the disciples of Jesus, a small group that, spread out, spreading ideas that they'd learned. It was true of the American Revolution, a group of thoughtful colonists thinking actually about French philosophy mainly, and decided they wanted to be independent. And the point is that the evolutionary part of that was in the relationships between the members of those small groups.
Yeah.
Feeding off of each other's imaginations and insights and wisdom, and then spreading them out in the society going forward.
I wish you had seen the picture. Mary Catherine Bateson is a beautiful woman. And her mother is Margaret Mead, and Gregory Bateson was her father. And so she's talking about that quote. And so raise your hand, or you can use the reaction tool, or just wave your hand if you had heard that tool. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, well, let's check in a little bit on that. Type in the chat if you can, if you made any notes from that, if anything stuck out with you from what she said. Just jot a point down in the chat. Play is an important part of learning. Yeah, humans remain childlike. Groups daring to think new thoughts. The idea of childlike combined with evolutionary jumps. The importance of relationships. Yeah, I had heard that quote so many times, and I never focused on that on the thoughtful aspect, the ability to learn together. Change happens when a group of people get together in relationships and learn together. Artists remain the most childlike. Accelerated change when individuals gather together and shared ideas, imagination. Relationships are our strength. Learning does not end throughout the cycle of life. Yeah, I think that's, I feel for some of the elected officials or people in positions of authority, and you get the sense that people expect them to know everything already. They came into office, so they should have all the answers. What do we take away from them when we take away their ability to learn, or to learn publicly? The animals seem to know their purpose so much more pointedly than human beings. There's a beautiful Mary Oliver poem that I have committed to memory about that very thing. Let's see. Humans' search for purpose can be such a struggle, and the artist grapples with that in their work. Yeah. Experimentation is important. So this felt in total alignment. That interview is just really powerful to me. And you can get the whole interview, of course, wherever you stream, if you listen to On Being up. Okay, so you ready for another interactive piece? I've got a poll for us, and this will be an experiment. I'm learning as I go with this too. Okay, let's see. Can you see a poll?
Come on, folks.
All right. So there's a poll there, and I'm going to ask you to click the box for all that apply. Okay, so I believe, and you can see 90, 94, 93, 81, 67. I believe my contributions can help improve our community, 92%. I'm interested in growing as an artist, 94%. I can learn from other artists, 93%. Some of what I've learned can help other artists, and I'm willing to share what I know, 81%. I'm interested in possibly putting together a project for a public space, 67%. I might like to try a collaborative project with other artists, 76%. I might like to engage the community in helping to shape my project, 66%. I might like to try to lead a community group and a participatory arts project, 40%. I love to laugh and have fun while doing meaningful work, 71%. I checked 7 or more of the 9 statements above, 54%. All right, any observations on that? And I'll let you, if you want to raise your hand, I'll let you unmute and tell us what you see in that. Is it about what you expected? Catherine, or you're on, I think
I
you're
got
on.
it. I got it. Okay. So yeah, I think I won't go into all the different ones, but I think your idea that the artists can help improve our community, and we've got 92% who are in agreement. So that's great. So that's just a big positive affirmation that, yeah, you think we can, we think we can. So now it's like, and here is an opportunity to do it. So it's just really exciting. So that's that.
Great. Erica.
Yeah, I agree with Catherine, and I think the lower percentage answers are all about the same subject. It seems like it's mostly about the getting the public involved and doing community things. And I wonder if just in a couple weeks, if you asked the exact same question, if that percentage would go up. Because I just know for myself, that's sort of a daunting, at least for me, a daunting question. But I think that's why we're all here. And hopefully that is something we can encourage one another and we might get more of a vision of what that means.
Hey, thank you for that comment. That was really insightful. And yeah, I do think it's daunting. And sometimes, sometimes we put people out there and say, hey, do this and figure it out. And it can be a little intimidating. You're not sure how it's going to go, but think about what a difference it makes to have a few tips, a little bit of knowledge, and then some support from other people doing the same thing. It seems like that can make a lot of difference. Michelle.
Yeah, I agree with all of the points that you got. Hey, Erica, that you guys have brought up. And also it's affirming to know that, we can't do this by ourselves. It's so much fun to, even if you do it once, to collaborate with other artists. And if you do it once, you can do it twice and 3 times and 4 times. And then you have this whole network of people. Like I see people that we've collaborated with, and it's so cool to see them here. So yeah, it's just really, it's neat to see.
Yeah. And I was telling a friend the other day, it's just how I'm built. I think that's how I build my stronger relationships, is working on projects with people. And I can think, some of my closest friends are people 20, 30 years ago that I worked on projects with in a collaborative setting. And you learn about each other, right? Whether, no matter how you're building a project, especially if it's a community-based project, you kind of get what each other's about. You have those kind of values conversations in one way or another. You've got to work through some conflict sometimes. And there's some communication tools that we can use and deploy. There are lots of things about working in community that are just that we all bring skills and abilities, life skills that if we're thoughtful about it, we're like, oh yeah, I did learn that a long time ago. I know that's a best practice. Why can't I use it? Use that. Even just that sense of play and having fun. That's a great one right there. Any other observations on our poll? I want to talk a little bit about some of these terms. We'll just read through them so that they're in the back of our mind for next time. Be kind of ready to dive right in. So social capital and creative capital. What an individual or a group can bring to the table as a resource. Resources can include the network, the people your contacts, relationships, skill sets, creativity, and a whole lot more. And social capital, it was kind of all the kind of in the late 90s, as all people talked about with Robert Putnam's work, Bowling Alone. And he had done work in Italy when they restructured to have a regional governance structure, and studied the regions and found, the places where people gathered on a regular basis, less formally, and where they had those networks, their government was able to work even better. So, you think about the groups that you're part of, whether it's a civic club or a church or a group of artists working together. When you have a network of people, I think about soul sessions. And Brian texted me, he wasn't able to be on tonight. He had a meeting, We think about the network at Soul Sessions and what that does, the strength of that. So that's got to be kind of a value that we hold close, that it is important, and that we hope that years from now we'll look back at this night. Years from now, we'll look back at this night and say, that was when we kicked off this in a real meaningful way. And now, who knows what a network of artists in Roanoke could build. Creative placemaking or placekeeping. So the term can be defined, and this, you do see it used in a whole lot of different ways. So developers will use placemaking when they're kind of building a market-based project. Artists use it, but creative placemaking can be defined as a multifaceted arts-based design and planning process for creating interesting, useful, transformative, vibrant spaces with the people who live there. So with the people who live there. And people have started to say, okay, well, you're not, the placemaking makes it sound like you're starting from scratch, and there wasn't a place there before, so you're going to make a place. Well, and so kind of pushback with that is placekeeping. So what is special about a place that's already there? The people who are there, the networks who are there, the cultural heritage. So creative placemaking and placekeeping. So, but it's done with the community. And then community artists. People with creative skills engaged in work within specific communities or in collaboration with those communities to make art that has relevance or is expressive for those communities. The work is co-conceived and co-created. So an artist network in Roanoke can do many, many things. Just knowing each other and knowing what the work of each other and promoting and supporting each other at a very basic level, it can be really powerful. And we hope that all of the many benefits of a network can come out of this. As we're getting this started, we really are, especially because we have the grant resources, and we really are focused on these community-based projects. So everything that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks will be with the sense of connection with the community, developing projects with the community, understanding community goals, and using our arts to advance them. All right. Oh. Let's see, we already did the poll, see? Skip right ahead. Okay, so some of the aspects of the learning network. Again, we're gonna mine the wisdom of the group. Now, if we were tonight, when we first imagined this last year and a half ago, we said, oh, it'd be great to be in a big open space, say the Taubman Museum of Art there on the first floor, where we had lots of people, and we maybe had a glass of wine in our hand, and we had some flip charts, and we kind of built some energy. And I'm sorry we can't do that, but we're not letting that slow us down. The learning network is going to, it's going to be a different kind of thing when we're in person. I know it's hard on the Zoom, but the thing we can do is get a good overview and start getting on the same page. Part of getting on the same page is literal. We've got a web page, which was where you registered. I'm going to grow that. There's a link on it now that has resources. Probably tonight, I'm going to go in and I'll build a little navigation system. So we'll have the page for resources. We'll have a page for calls. We might have a closed space so that you can go in where you have a password to, and you can enter your applications. If there are things that we don't necessarily want to have out, forms available for everybody to go in and type into them. So you'll see some things evolve there on that page. Maybe I should go ahead and bring it up. And I'll start doing that. These sessions, these four sessions, you can think of all of this as being very iterative. So we're going to hit it at one level in the next 4 sessions. And then we're going to go deeper. And the deeper things might be based in projects. We might have a project that you've submitted for, and you and several other artists are part of that project. And that might be one way we go deeper. Additionally, we'll do some survey work, and we'll ask you what you're interested in, where you're interested in going deeper. We can do training on facilitation. We can do all kinds of interaction based training. We can do informational sessions. Maybe it's with Parks and Recreation or with City Planning.
7, 8, 9.
Something that you're interested in. And let's see. And somebody, if you can mute, if you're off the mute, I can't tell who it is.
Sure, for some weird reason.
Okay. I'm gonna do another thing now. Let me pull the website up. And let's see. All right. And I'm going to stop my share.
And I'm gonna try and
And then I'm
start.
going to start it again.
Oh,
This is how I go all day. I talk to myself when I'm doing things. I don't know if anybody else does that. Okay. So here we are on the website. If you can see that. Oh, you know what? I've had that poll up all this time. I can go ahead and take that down now. But I'll go in and save it so we have that information. Okay, the very top, Yoda, Year of the Artist, that's where you'll find, if you go to roanokearts.org, you'll find Yoda there. When tonight, maybe, or tomorrow morning when you wake up, you will find our first call will be here, so you can go in there. I'm trying to do most things form-based, like with Google Forms, so it's pretty easy to manage. And you also see resources listed there. You might have already gone in and dug in the resources. I had linked them down here midway. And some of the resources we're going to use, the overall framework we're using is from Americans for the Arts. And they have a training, artists at the community development table. We're going to take pieces of it. We're not going to kind of grab hold of one curriculum and be really rigid with it. We're really using this to have conversations. That's how I see all of this. But you can, if you click on that, you can go to their website, and they've got lots of resources around this curriculum. And then we've got some worksheets from Americans for the Arts on engaging the community, kind of simple worksheets. I love the idea of a worksheet when I'm working with a group. To get them to, not everybody is ready to, jump into a conversation, especially with people they don't know. They might not think, I don't think as well in a big group. I kind of need some time. So if somebody gives me a pen and paper and tells me to sit and think, I'm pretty happy. So sometimes even in a group, you can have people take a little bit of time, reflect a little bit, and you give them a worksheet to do that. So they've got some worksheets there and guides. Springboard for the Arts is another terrific group. They have a program called Art Train that's free for artists right now. And I know some artists in the community have done it. I did their organizational training, kind of a simple one where they were trying to get ahead of these federal dollars and say, hey, artists, organize so we can get some project money to do projects with the federal dollars. So they've got that, and then they've got a handbook for artists working in community. And we're going to take some resources from that too. And then I mentioned that there's this guide, Problem Solving Through Arts and Culture. It's got lots of good examples of city-based projects where artists are working with city government, with local governments, where they're embedded in the government, where they're partnering and helping to take a different lens on tough issues that cities are facing. So there's some great examples in that one, and you can just click on any of these and it'll take you to the resource. And then finally, we did an 8-part series in the fall of 2020 as we were getting ready for the sculpture call in Elmwood Park. And I see John Woodrum's in the call, and he's got this beautiful piece in that. I was talking to somebody about it today. I love telling the story about that piece. But as part of that artist series, we did talk about working with the city and getting insurance. And Ann Glover does a session on working with a fabricator when she did the Trojan dog. So that those videos, we recorded those, and those are all online as well. So those are some of the resources that you have. Since we're not going to go in, we're going to try and keep each of these sessions at about an hour. We're not going to go real deep into a lot of them, but know that you have those resources there and you can dig around. And then the cool part is you dig around and you learn something, then you can bring it to the group as well. And as we structure these, there'll be, you might be asked to share something at some point. And we might have some other folks coming in and sharing. Okay. So let me go back now. I'm getting the hang of this maybe. Okay, I'm gonna stop that share. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. Well, let me check in. Any burning questions before we head to our call? Okay, we're gonna head to our call then. Let's see here. PowerPoint. All right. And the four sessions, like I said, we've only planned the next 4 sessions. And then I'm guessing that we're going to be like, okay, then we're going to plan the next 4 sessions. I imagine during this spring, we're going to be doing a lot of, we're going to be holding this space together a fair amount. And it might be that we'll have a topic and you can check in if you're interested in that topic. It might be that we're doing some additional design work on some of the grant projects, or we're running things by you. And I've already, since the article ran on Sunday, I've heard from several people who said, hey, I've got a project. The cool thing is that with some of these projects, they've got money for the project. They just need access to artists. So our role really is going to be, kind of getting our muscles ready, and being available and being thoughtful. And I believe that this is going to help us put calls out in a different way. And if any of you have ever answered a city call through purchasing, it's very structured. Sometimes we have to use that process. But I wonder if we have a group of artists who are active in the community and working in the community, and that we know if it is in a sort of pre-qualification where we know that group's there, we can put it out in front of them, we get responses. And I think it's really interesting. I was reflecting on this a little bit today. The reason why we have those programs for purchasing and the kind of the state guidelines that we have to follow, it is really to give everybody a fair shot at getting those jobs. And it's really structured, but it's so structured, it becomes very bureaucratic. And some of the people we want to apply to get these jobs, it's about equity. There may not be either trust, or that might be such a burden. There are ways that we can make it a little bit easier. So that's part of what we can explore with this. And I think we can affect some real change. So we're going to hit artists at the table and in the community. The artist as leader, partnerships and collaborations, and then building on assets and resources. All this is, it's arts-based community development, and I think it's asset-based community development. Okay, the first call. Are you excited? Show me you're excited. All right, Polly's got jazz hands up. Paige, how'd you show me you're excited? All right, yay, all right, thank you. Thanks, Kyle. Okay, our first call. And we're announcing this right now. The application will be up tonight or tomorrow morning rather. And we are going to do the Roanoke Self-Portrait Project. We Are Art, the Roanoke Self-Portrait Project. And you don't have to read all the tiny print. We'll make it available to you. But I will tell you that we're going to be looking for new work from artists. It's going to have to be a self-portrait in a public setting in Roanoke. Should be a reflection of your role in the community, what you're exploring, how you engage. Is there something in the community that you care about, something that you love, and like some of our rich assets in the community? Is there a challenge that you're particularly involved in or you care about? So it's a self-portrait, but it's a self-portrait with a context. Now, we're going to choose 50 artists. They're going to be selected by a panel. And that panel, because it's a National Endowment for the Arts grant, it has to focus on artistic quality and artistic merit. It's some of the criteria, and we'll talk more about that probably next week. We're going to pay each artist $500 to create this self-portrait. Now, I did get I ran a contract past the attorney. She's approved it. It is a city contract because these are federal dollars. So we've got to be really, careful with them and dot all of our I's and cross our T's. But we're going to go ahead and pay the $500 up front. So once we get under contract with the selected artist, we're going to pay you $500. Then you have until the middle of June to produce your portrait. We'll do a check-in and midway, I think April 26th, there will be a check-in date where it's due, where we'll ask you to, in an online form, submit kind of a sketch of what you're thinking or kind of give us a little progress update. But we want to go ahead, we want to pay you for it. Then in June, we'll ask that you deliver it to us, where we're going to have an exhibit on the 4th floor. And we have a little gallery space now on the 4th floor outside of council chambers. And we're going to exhibit it for up to a year. And then you get the art back. So it sounds like I'm talking all about physical art. It doesn't have to be a two-dimensional framed portrait. If it is a two-dimensional frame self-portrait, we'll ask that it's ready to hang. But we know that we have artists on here who are not just visual artists. We have performing artists, composers. You can create a self-portrait. We might have a videographer on. You can create you probably have dancers on. Who knows what your self-portrait is going to look like? The space that we have for exhibition is largely, it's most fitted for the two-dimensional. We might be able to rally a little bit of sculptural exhibit space, but we have the website too. So if a video is produced of a work, we can share it that way. But part of this is about promoting the artist and the artists in our community, and we're really excited about it. Now, when I was thinking up, I'm like 50 sounds like we'd be able to get 50, and it doesn't sound like too much. But we've got 100 people, 101 people on the call right now. So who knows? We might have to reassess. But I do understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. This is only the first call. So we're going to have a lot of calls coming. We'll talk about an existing one next week. We'll talk about another one the week after. And we're kind of, as quickly as we can develop them, we'll announce them. And the form is going to be online. We're not only asking to see your work, but we're asking you already to reflect a little bit. So we always ask people when they submit for a project or give us some art, we ask them, what about Roanoke inspires their creativity? What are they doing with their art? So there'll be some questions that we're going to ask you about and what you care about in the community. And that's helpful for a number of reasons. One, an artist doesn't have to necessarily live in Roanoke to submit for this. If they are investing some civic energy in Roanoke, if they work here, if they live here, or if they're involved here, then they can qualify for this. Additionally, when we share your self-portrait, we're not just going to share your self-portrait, we're going to interpret it a little bit. And that interpretation will come from this language. Meaning if we do a description that's online or on the wall, we're going to share some quotes from you and such. So we appreciate you thinking through that. And you'd had plenty of time to think about it. And I know it's not a whole lot of money, but I think it's a it's a cool aspect of it that we can pay you to create the work, and then you get to keep the work after. February 15th is the deadline for the application to be filled out. Then we'll notify artists by March 8th. I'm going to try and stick to these deadlines. It is a busy time around the city, but this is what we're aiming for. So we would collect your W-9, we would sign the contract, and then we'd be able to pay after signing the contract. And when you get the contract, you're going to go, wow, and it is. It's several pages. But the cool thing about this is that once you sign that contract and you've given us your W-9, you're going to be in the city system. So the next time you submit for a project, it's going to be easier to pay you. I think there's a lot of value in doing this, and this is going to be a lot of work on our end, to get 50 people under contract. But I think it kind of scares me a little bit, doing contracts and talking to the attorneys. I'm like, oh, I'm not built for that. But I'm getting better and better at it. So I think we'll be able to do it. And then on April 26th, we're going to have that short concept report due. June 14th, final submission due. And then on July 17th, I'm not sure why I picked July 17th, but it seems like a very specific date. There might be a council meeting that day. Who knows why we said we would launch it that day, but those are our dates right now. And with that, I'd like to see if we have any questions on the first call. And then if we have any questions on our path in the next couple of years. I've been talking a lot, so we've got it's 7:23. We've been at it under an hour. We've got a few minutes if you have any questions. And let me check 27 new messages. Wow. Let's see.
I have can I go? I have a question. At first, I just want to say I'm so grateful to be here. This is beautiful, and it's incredible to watch Roanoke evolve and grow over the years. And it's already such a powerful, creative center, and just watching that expand like this is really nice. So thanks for everything you're doing. And one of my questions is, will there be potential for projects outside of just the calls to put together that involve the community and kids, and maybe gardening and growing things and playgrounds and things like this, potentially outside of just the calls?
Yes. One of the calls will be, very, very open. And in fact, we said, and I'll tell you, we might shape it in different ways. The way it's written now, we have about $100,000 that will go to artist-driven projects. Or artist-led projects. We like to say things, if they're community-driven and artist-led. So if the artist is in touch with the community wants something, the artist says, yes, I can engage and help get this done. That's what we really love to see. And so we're going to have a call where we ask artists for the projects that they think are the right projects. So it's not going to be, we'll come out with some calls that say, hey, here's a wall, or here's a specific space, or here's a but we want to have the opportunity for artists to take some time too and be creative and develop the project, do some of the inquiry. So yes.
Cool. Wonderful. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Let's see. Fun. Yay. Excellent call. Let's see. Will any calls be created by artists? Yes. We're going to be shaping some of this ourselves. So not only we might break into a small group or two, or have some people who are interested in it, or I say, okay, now we could take that $100,000 and we could do it all at one time and say, okay, here's the call. And we did tell the NEA we had some themes that we were interested in. We're interested in justice. We're interested in wellness in the community, inclusion. Those are the things that we said. Having said that, that's a big, broad area, and it might be that we say, okay, well, let's go ahead and release one call and see what we learn from it, and then we'll release another call or cycle it. Because one thing I've learned too, doing community development work over the years, we would give a town a very small grant, $3,000, And I'm thinking of one in particular. And we said, okay, what do you've got $3,000, we're gonna help you develop a project. And when they did not only one project, they did 3 projects and still had money left over from the $3,000, you know, and that was the town of Dungannon. And they had one was a student-based art project where the students, it was a historic building that they needed to redo, and the students painted their vision of the future on boards that you know, covered up the broken glass temporarily. But they did, you know, sometimes we say, oh, we don't have the resources, but that's a mindset that we need to get past. We've got everything we need right here in the community. We can make things happen. And sometimes you don't need a whole lot of money to do it. Okay, so the self-portrait is not online yet. I've got one more of the self-portrait application. It will be tomorrow. There'll be a bar right across the top, kind of a navigation bar when you get to that page. It's not on there yet. I need to add one more question. These are federal dollars, and everybody's going to have to self-certify that they're allowed to receive federal dollars. There are some organizations or some people who, you know, come into trouble with the law, or something's happened with their fiduciary responsibilities, and they're no longer able to get federal dollars. So you would know it if I doubt we'll have anybody it applies to, but we'll ask that question on there too. I just need to build that question in the application. This recordings will be on here. We'll have documentation. We'll have it meeting by meeting. So there'll be 4 or 5 little boxes at the top of it, and one of them will be kind of our meetings or something. Let's see. Yeah, if chosen, you'd have to frame it. You can frame it how you want to, just so it will hang on the wall. And there's a maximum, I think it's 24 by 36 inches is the maximum size for the 2-dimensional works. Earthworks. I was telling somebody about earthwork today that I had dreamt of one day, or like thought would be super cool in the community. Wow, an earthwork self-portrait. I can see that from space. We'll have to talk about that. Yeah. So the documentation of this, you know, it might be that what I'm interested in too is like how we share it with the community. So no matter what you are proposing for your self-portrait, we're going to ask too to do some collective thinking about like how we can share it with people, whether it's a video of your process or of your of the product. And then unsolicited proposals. Yeah, you know, we're gonna have my hands full for a little bit. So I'm gonna ask that you grow with me over the next 18 months or a year or so. And so we'll have, we're gonna do it bit by bit. So, but if you have a project and it is timely and you just want some guidance, you know, I'm sure we can have a conversation as well. All right. It is great seeing familiar faces. It'd be so much better if we were in person. But I've been trying to kind of zoom around and look at some of the faces. I've been talking so much, I haven't gotten a chance to see everybody. All right, and let's see. Any other questions? Did I miss any questions on the? Oh, we are due for another construction. Those are great. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Well, with that, it is 7:30 on the dot, and I want to thank you for being part of this inaugural kickoff for our planning for the Year of the Artist. Thanks a lot, and I've got your email, so I'll be following up, and then we'll see you next week at the same time. Thank you.